Everything in life starts with your state, not your job, not your bank account, not your relationships. Your state, your emotional, mental, and physical condition in the moment, because that's what determines how you think, how you act, how you show up. The quality of your life is the quality of the states you live in consistently. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a day where nothing around you changed, but suddenly you felt unstoppable? You didn't get richer, you didn't get more talented, but something shifted. Maybe it was a song, a workout, a conversation, a decision, and suddenly, boom, you were on, laser, focused, full of certainty. You walked into the room differently, spoke differently, thought differently. That's the power of state. Most people live their lives like emotional tumbleweeds drifting around, reacting to whatever life throws at them. If someone cuts them off in traffic, their whole day is ruined. If the boss says one wrong word, they collapse internally. Their power is tied to conditions they don't control, and as long as your state is a reaction to the outside world, you're not living, you're surviving. But when you learn to own your state, you flip the switch. You go from being a thermostat to a thermometer. You stop measuring the environment, and you start setting the environment. You walk into chaos and bring certainty. You face fear and breathe in courage. You wake up tired, but you choose energy anyway. Why? Because you decide how you feel. Not your mood, not your circumstances, not your past. There's a science to state. It's not just mental. It's not just emotional. It's physiological. Your breath, your posture, your focus. These are the tools. The moment you drop your shoulders, lower your head, and sigh, you're sending signals to your brain that it's time to shrink, to doubt, to retreat. But the moment you stand tall, breathe with strength, look forward instead of down, your body tells your brain, we're in control. And the brain follows. Every champion, every leader, every game changer you admire didn't get there just on talent. They learned to manage their state when the pressure hit. Because talent without state is worthless. You can have all the tools in the world, but if you don't feel certain, if you don't feel driven, if you don't feel alive in the moment that matters, you won't execute. Think about the greatest performances in history, on the field, on stage, in business. Those moments weren't about strategy. They were about presence, about being locked in, fully activated, emotionally lit up. And that comes from the state they trained themselves to live in. Not once, not when things were perfect, but every single day. You can train this, you can condition it. But first, you've got to stop saying things like, I'm just in a bad mood. No, you're in a bad pattern. A bad habit of thought, a bad physical routine, a bad emotional loop. And the beautiful thing, that means you can interrupt it. At any second, you can choose a different state, a more resourceful one, a stronger one. Emotion is not random. It's not accidental. It's something you generate, and when you realize that, you reclaim all your power. When you step into your best state confident, certain, focused, you make better decisions, you attract better people, you handle challenges with clarity, you move through fear instead of freezing in it. Owning your state isn't just a motivational idea. It's a daily practice. You don't wait to feel powerful, you choose power. You don't wait to feel confident, you generate confidence. Every time you take control of your state, you prove to yourself that you're not a victim of life. You're the driver. You're the one behind the wheel, and the road ahead bends to the level of certainty and energy you bring to it. Your entire life is a reflection of the standards you've set, not the goals you've written down, not the dreams you talk about, but the bare minimums you refuse to go below. That's what creates your reality. We don't rise to our potential, we fall to our standards. And until you decide to raise those standards, nothing changes no matter how badly you want it, no matter how clearly you can see it. Most people live with standards they never chose. They inherited them from their family, from their environment, from the people they grew up around. If everyone around them was broke, stressed, or unhealthy, that became normal. If people around them settled for average, they started believing that was just life. But normal isn't the same as necessary. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's acceptable. The moment you confuse the two, you lock yourself into a prison built by other people's limitations. Raising your standards isn't some cliché. It's a decision to draw a line in the sand and say, "This is who I am now. I no longer accept anything below this." It's not about hype. It's not about motivation. It's about identity, because your identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are, is what dictates your behavior. If you believe you're someone who always finds a way, who doesn't tolerate weakness, who shows up no matter what, your actions will match that belief even on your worst days. But if your standards are low, if you tell yourself stories like "I'm just lazy," "I always procrastinate," or "I'm just not that type of person," then don't be surprised when your life keeps proving you right. That's not fate, that's alignment with a weak set of rules that you allowed to define you. Every time you tolerate something beneath your potential, you reinforce a version of yourself that isn't true. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you cast a vote for that identity to stay in power. Change begins when you get disgusted with your own excuses. When you finally say, "I'm tired of settling," that fire, that internal discomfort, it's not something to avoid. It's the beginning of transformation. You can't change what you tolerate, and most people tolerate just enough pain to stay stuck, but not enough to change. They've got dreams with no urgency, standards with no teeth, and that's why they stay in cycles wanting more, but accepting less. The truth is, we all get what we're willing to fight for. You want a stronger body, a better business, a deeper relationship, a clearer mind. It starts by no longer accepting anything less. That doesn't mean perfection. It means refusal to hit snooze, refusal to skip the reps, refusal to allow average effort on the things that matter most. Because when you raise your standards, your actions have no choice but to rise with them. People always say they want more confidence, more energy, more success. But they forget those things are earned through self-respect, and self-respect is built by living in alignment with your standards. When you say, "I train daily," and you train, confidence grows. When you say, "I speak the truth," and you do, integrity builds. When you say, "I don't accept mediocre effort," and you follow through, your entire nervous system starts to believe in you. And when you believe in yourself, everything changes. Not because the world got easier, but because you got stronger. This isn't about grinding 24/7. It's about knowing your floor, your non-negotiables, and holding them even on hard days. Especially on hard days, because if you only keep your standards when it's convenient, you don't really have standards. You have preferences. And preferences won't change your life. Discipline will. Commitment will. Identity will. There comes a moment when you stop being available for the old version of you. When you stop entertaining weak thoughts, when you stop seeking comfort, and in that moment, the world starts treating you differently. Opportunities show up, people respect you more, you attract stronger relationships, not because you're lucky, but because you finally demanded more from yourself and the world responded in kind. The single biggest difference between the people who make it and the people who don't comes down to one thing: action. Not knowledge, not strategy, not vision boards or perfectly written plans. It's about who's willing to move. Fast, bold, raw, imperfect. Because action is where momentum is born, and momentum is what separates those who talk from those who build. Most people are waiting. They're waiting for the right time, the right mood, the perfect conditions. They're waiting until they feel ready. But here's the truth they don't want to hear. You're never going to feel completely ready. Readiness is a myth. It's a lie your brain tells you to keep you safe, to keep you comfortable, to keep you small. If you wait until you're ready, you're already too late. Perfection is the enemy. Perfection is fear in disguise. People don't chase perfection because they have high standards. They chase it because they're scared. Scared to look stupid, scared to fail, scared to launch something that doesn't work. But success doesn't come to those who wait and polish and tweak and overthink. It comes to the ones who are willing to take the shot, even if their hands are shaking. Massive, imperfect action means you don't tiptoe. You don't dip a toe in the water. You dive in, you go big, and you figure it out as you go. You make the call before you feel qualified. You start the business before you have every answer. You post the video even if it's not perfect. You show up to the gym even if you don't know the routine. Because motion beats meditation every time. You can't steer a parked car, and you can't fix what doesn't exist. But once you're in motion, everything changes. You get feedback, you get lessons, you get stronger. And most importantly, you build belief. Every time you act, you prove to yourself that you are the kind of person who executes. And that identity, that's where the real transformation begins. You don't become confident by sitting around thinking positive thoughts. You build confidence by doing hard things. You take messy action, you survive it, and you realize, I'm more capable than I thought. Then you do it again, and eventually, what used to terrify you becomes your new baseline. Not because the world got easier, but because you got bolder. Fear doesn't leave before you act, it leaves because you act. Action isn't the result of courage, it's the cause. You train yourself to be courageous through repetition. You train yourself to trust your instincts by following through when it's uncomfortable. And the more you do that, the more your nervous system starts to realize that discomfort isn't danger, it's growth. It's expansion. It's evolution. The people who dominate in any field didn't wait until their product was perfect. They didn't wait until their skills were flawless. They launched early, they failed fast, and they adapted on the fly. They outpaced everyone not because they were smarter, but because they were quicker. Quicker to decide, quicker to pivot, quicker to take the damn leap. You can have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't move, it's worthless. Information without execution is just potential energy collecting dust. But the moment you start, even if it's ugly, the gears start turning. Doors open, people notice. Opportunities appear, not because the universe magically rearranged itself, but because you finally stopped hesitating and put something into the world that others can respond to. There's a level of hunger you reach where sitting still actually hurts more than failing, where you'd rather crash at full speed than sit idle and wonder what could have been. That's the zone where results happen. That's where leaders are forged, not in the lab, not in the library, but in the arena, with dirt under their nails and fire in their eyes. You don't need all the answers. You don't need permission. You need movement. And once you choose it, once you start taking action like your future depends on it, because it does, you step into a rhythm most people never experience. A rhythm of creation, of feedback, of forward motion that compounds faster than you can imagine. And all it takes is the courage to begin before you're ready, and the discipline to keep going before it's perfect. Pain doesn't care about your plans. It shows up uninvited, unapologetic, and unrelenting. It doesn't knock. It kicks the door in. It takes what it wants. And for most people, pain is something to escape, to numb, to avoid at all costs. But what they don't realize is that pain, when faced, when understood, when embraced, is the greatest teacher life will ever give you. It doesn't whisper. It doesn't sugarcoat. It screams the truth you've been avoiding. Everyone loves growth, but nobody wants the discomfort that comes with it. Everybody wants clarity, but no one wants to sit in the confusion long enough to find it. Pain is where real answers live. When everything is stripped away, your comforts, your routines, your false sense of control, that's when your true identity is revealed. Not when life is easy, but when it's hard, when you're tested. When your back is against the wall and there's no option but to fight, adapt, or collapse. Pain doesn't show up to destroy you. It shows up to wake you up, to force you to confront the areas of your life that you've ignored. The weak spots, the lies you've told yourself, the standards you dropped. Pain exposes the truth, and most people don't want to see it. So they distract themselves with food, with scrolling, with gossip, with blame. But if you numb the pain, you also numb the lesson. And what you don't face now will keep coming back. Louder, harder, uglier until you learn. Think about your biggest breakthroughs. Not the moments when you were comfortable, not when everything went according to plan, but the moments when you were cracked wide open. When you failed, when you were betrayed, when you were broken, that pain didn't just hurt, it changed you. It forced you to let go of the version of you that wasn't built for the next level. It forced you to grow a new layer of strength, one that can't be developed in comfort. Pain teaches you resilience. It teaches you emotional endurance. It teaches you how to sit with fear and keep moving anyway. When you learn how to feel it without running, without breaking, without shutting down, you build a type of toughness that no course, no book, no seminar can ever give you. Real strength doesn't come from winning, it comes from recovering, from getting back up, from deciding that your story isn't finished yet. There's something sacred about pain, because when everything is going wrong, when nothing feels safe, when it feels like the whole world is against you, your mask drops, your ego fades, all the fluff burns away, and what's left is the core of who you really are, and that version of you, that raw, stripped down, fire-tested version, that's the version that can lead, that can build, that can inspire others not from theory, but from scars. From experience, from the battlefield. Pain doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care if you're tired or busy or scared. It only responds to your willingness to face it. You can either avoid it and stay the same, or engage with it and evolve. And the truth is, every time you step into pain instead of backing away, you reclaim a piece of your power. You take back control, not of the world because the world's chaos never stops, but of your response to the chaos. That's the ultimate shift. That's where transformation lies. The problem isn't pain. The problem is the meaning you've attached to it. Pain isn't punishment, it's feedback, it's data. It's a signal from your soul that something needs attention. Maybe it's your standards, maybe it's your relationships, maybe it's the way you've been living small when you know you're meant for more. Whatever it is, pain won't let you ignore it forever. It's here to teach you something that success never could. Because when everything is working, most people get lazy, but when everything falls apart, you're forced to listen. You're forced to ask better questions, you're forced to grow up.